Survival keeps you alive, but ownership sets you free is something that has been resonating with me, has been coming up as I have been navigating and finding my North Star in this season of how I move through the world, who I am alongside who I'm becoming, and being able to sit with myself and sit with my own experience and all the different things that are coming up. And this is what I want to center this yarn around. If you are new here, my name is Chantel Thompson and I'm a proud Barkindji Yimpa woman. I'm a mother, I'm an auntie, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a founder, and I am also a 3-time world champion in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, a black belt, and I am on my Warrior Heart Rising journey, and I am the auntie, the founder, the custodian, the matriarch, and the embodiment of the Warrior Heart Dreaming and the Kilana Foundation. And this is the season that I want to share with you. I am here on a calling to activate more warrior hearts into the world, to empower people to come back home to themselves, to their own experience, and to learn to trust that being themselves is the everything that they need. Simply by existing in themselves, that will be the seed and the source for everything that they wish, that they desire for themselves and the world that they want to create, the life that they want to have, what they want to do for their love, their life, their leadership, and their legacy. And I do this through sharing on my YouTube channel, by documenting my story and sharing my story, by the Warrior Heart community over on School. So if you'd like to know more, go and check out the Warrior Heart community over on School. It's a free community where we get to activate and walk together in activating our warrior hearts. And in this season, I am bringing the warrior heart into the world and documenting my journey and my experience of being the embodiment of the warrior heart dreaming, alongside sharing that with other people and sharing how I became me and how I got to this version of me while I'm evolving into the next version of how I became this version, while I'm also evolving into what comes next. And I would really love for you to join me on that journey. And I want to share with you in this yarn about some of the things that have come up with me for the things that I've been experiencing and talking about. Own your shit, moving from survival to sovereignty, being done with burnout as a way of leadership, being done with survival mode as a way of life, and self-abandonment as a way of love. This idea of who we need to be in other people's perceptions, but also how we've been socially conditioned to believe and move through the world because of who we are or what comes with who we are versus our own truth and our own experiences. And some of the things that have come up from this are survival taught me how to keep going, how to endure, how to push, how to stay standing when everything said I should fall apart. There are so many people who are tired in the world, who are overwhelmed and who are just trying to make it through. And this is not to diminish the power of those who are surviving, who are resilient, and who are just getting on with getting on. That is such a gift. There are so many people who are tapping out to life, who are just numbing and shutting down, versus those people who are just getting up and surviving and being resilient and doing the best they can with what they've got. And then there's just that edge of that next level. And this is where I'm at. I'm like, okay, I survived and I'm resilient. And I was shaming myself and making that a bad thing, but now I'm honoring that. But I also want more than that. I'm meant for more than that. And for what's to come, I need more than that. I need to accept and be able to receive more than being proud of just surviving and enduring and being resilient, fortifying myself and locking in that in order to be able to plant the seeds, in order to be able to create the intergenerational wealth and legacy that I want for the next generation and the 7 generations to come, survival and resilience are not enough. They are the baseline. They are the floor with which we need to stand on. But now it is time to strengthen our roots. It is time to fortify. It is time to become anti-fragile. It is time to come home to ourselves and fully step into our power and our potential. Our ancestors, our elders survived. They endured so that we didn't have to. And I realized sitting with this experience and documenting my experience that I don't want that to be the example for my children. and those that look to me as someone that they look up to. I don't want to glorify survival and resilience. And I don't want to glorify struggle and burnout and 2 hours of sleep and doing all the things and going, I'm tired and I'm enduring and look what I've done. Not that I'm diminishing that, but in my leadership, my responsibility, my eldership, my truth, I want more than to survive. Chantel Thompson, I want to be thriving and well as the foundations, as the conditions for my wealth, my legacy, my leadership, both in the lived and the 7 generations who will inherit who Chantel was and what she left behind and the story she walked. I want more than survival. The world, as an Indigenous woman and as a mother, the world is so comfortable with our deficit narrative. We are asked to perform and prostitute our trauma, our wounds. We are asked to perform our wounds over and over again to get the baseline of support, to get the baseline of investment, to justify our power and our rise. It's like, oh, no wonder she became that person. Look at what she had to go through, glorifying the things we've had to experience. No, the shit I'm going through is not by my choice. Some of it, yes. But my power and potential was never born from the darkness. I was always powerful. I always had a dreaming. I was always so much more than my starting point. My power and my dreaming were not born from my deficit. They were influenced and shaped by those experiences, but they weren't driven by those experiences. They weren't born from those experiences. And there comes a moment when survival is no longer the lesson. It is no longer the destination. It's just the training. It's the arena. But freedom, real freedom, comes when we stop waiting to be rescued and we start owning our choices, our patterns, our healing, and our becoming. These are just some of the notes and the thoughts that have come up for me in documenting my experience and going, there's got to be more than this. And so overwhelmed with, how do I get to that more? And working and celebrating and honoring the fact that crisis and chaos, winging it, and the things that I've achieved have been done on sheer survival and raw talent. And this question, this alchemy journey going on, the Paul Kaleo book, The Alchemist, of how do I actualize and alchemize what I've already experienced? How do I alchemize all that I've been and all that I have become and experienced and am, and how do I actualize into the next level of moving beyond survival mode as a way of life, burnout as a way of leadership, and self-abandonment as a way of love? And this whole becoming my own purpose and knowing this truth that everything I want for the world and for those that I love has to come through me first. It has to be about me first and come back to the root system, the source. And I speak about what it really means to own my shit without shame, without blame, but with that warrior discipline and self-respect. And that self-respect and discipline being founded in love, founded in accountability, but also reciprocity. This meeting place of reclaiming and remembering who I was in the dream time and who I was when I came here. But then life experience and story took me away from myself because I was either too much or not enough, or it wasn't safe to be myself in the world. But now I'm strong enough. I'm brave enough. I am resourced. I'm capable enough. I have the capacity now to make that final journey home to myself, this season of initiation into going, I'm finally ready to set myself free and release all that past and have her come home to me. And at the same time, this meeting place between the reemergence and the reclamation and remembering who I always was. And she's just been waiting there. She's walked with me this whole time. Versus who I had to become, who I became as a result of what I've been through, the choices that I've made, the things that I've experienced, and the meeting place of those two things, those two people. And them merging and meeting my higher self, my elder self, who's always been there. She's always guided me. She's always shown me a window into going, hey, we're over here in an alternate universe and timeline. We are already living the dreaming that you have, because the vision that you hold is just a glimpse into a future state that is already yours. And then this convergence, this emergence, this birthplace. I am weaving the birthing basket that will hold the birthing of those 3 women coming into one self, one experience, one being. I am weaving the birthing basket that will hold the woman, the work, the legacy, the matriarch, the custodian, the future elder, as she emerges into herself, and it all begins to weave together. And what the kind of ownership that needs to show up on hard days, the kind that raises our baselines, not just our mood. If this is the baseline of what life looks like when I'm in survival mode, what does the baseline look like when I raise what survival is, what safety is, what protection looks like, what responsibility becomes? And moving from coping to choosing, breaking cycles instead of managing them, choosing discipline over distractions, choosing purpose over comfort, and becoming responsible for the person that I am and the life that I'm living, and not just saying it, not just masking it, not just performing it, and not just it feeling like I put her on like a costume, like an outfit, but it becomes who I am. It's who I go to sleep at night as, it's who I wake up as, and it's how I move through the world. And because I can't hide from the mirror any longer, she's not letting me. I am chosen and called for this. This is no longer a choice. The ancestors have given me that insight that I am chosen, I am called, and I don't have a choice. This is coming whether I'm ready or not. And the choice now is to do the preparation, is to go, well, if this is who I can become from survival mode and just raw talent and just refusing to quit on myself whilst trying to survive, what does that next level look like if I move at the pace of peace and trust? If I move from nurturing and developing myself, those things that I was born with, training the things, practicing my craft and my skill. And then when I'm called to step into my craft and my skill, or my leadership or my eldership, I'm resourced, I'm ready, I'm prepared because I've done the training. When I'm called to step onto the mats and step up and it's go time, I'm ready, I'm prepared, and I'm willing. Helen Helios or something, I can't remember. She's an American wrestler, and she was training for the Olympics. And I remember this vividly. She was training for the Olympics, and she was going up against a Japanese wrestler who had been the Olympic champion for 5 Olympics. 5 Olympics. Now, the Olympics are a 4-year cycle, so that's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20 years of being champion. And Helen was training to go up against someone with 20 years of experience and training and championships, Olympic cycles behind her. And she knew that in order to win gold at the Olympics, that was the person she was going to have to beat. So she trained to beat that person. And I remember this interview so vividly, and the moment I seen it, I'd actually forgotten it up until now. And she was being interviewed because she won. She, spoiler alert, she won. She became the Olympic gold. She won the Olympic gold medal that year. She beat that Japanese wrestler. They faced off in the finals and she beat her. And when she was doing the interview, people said, like, how did she perform? Like, how did she handle the pressure of going, I've done all this training, and when it was go time, how was she able to release the pressure of going, I've trained up until now, how do I turn that on? And she said, I just let it all go. I trusted in the preparation, and I trusted that whatever was going to happen on those mats. That's 6 minutes. So a wrestling round is 6 minutes. And I allowed myself to just be myself, and I allowed myself to trust in myself, and that if it was meant to be mine, I've done everything that was in my power up until this moment. I got on the mats. I made it to the Olympics. I got through the qualifiers. I got through the rounds. And then I got to the championship round, the finals. And she said, but every moment I had to say, I have to do this. I have to do what's in front of me. I have to walk on the mats first. I have to shake her hand first. I have to make my first move. From that is all that is within my control, is walking onto the mats, bowing and shaking hands, and then make my first move. Whatever happens after that is a co-creation between myself and her and the universe. But how I walk onto those mats is dictated by how I prepared. And I trusted in my preparation. I trusted in myself. So I could step up and perform because I could trust in my preparation and I could release it to a power that was higher than me. But I also wanted to enjoy this moment. I also wanted to be present in this moment. I didn't want to lose out to this moment because I made it something that I couldn't control. And every round, every decision, every day, we are either rehearsing survival or we're training for sovereignty. We are in an arena. Every moment, and I'm not talking about the big moments, I'm talking about little moments. There are little moments that you can track in a day, in any given moment, where you are offered, you are awake enough, you are conscious enough to choose to respond rather than reacting. You catch yourself. An easy one. I'm going to lose weight and I'm going to get healthy. At the start of the year, the first week, maybe 2 weeks, we go really strong. And then a shitty day happens or something just happens and life implodes and you get triggered and then you go against your own desires and you go and eat the thing or you go and drink the soft drink, you have a spiral and you self-sabotage. And you knew in that moment, it's like, no, you know what, fuck, I deserve this. I'm going through a hard moment. I deserve this. I need this. And you go do the thing. But then afterwards, you start to beat yourself up and go, oh, I fucked up. I spiraled and I chose this. I reacted rather than responded. And I had the ice cream, I had the takeout. And rather than just making it about the moment, that micro choice where you could have chosen your passion, your purpose, and your future and be present with that discomfort of staying in your feelings but not allowing your feelings to dictate it. And you betrayed your own trust. You betrayed your own word. And you chose your pain, your past, your excuses. And you logically justified it to yourself. But then what's even more insidious and what goes worse is then when we allow that moment to just derail everything, rather than making it a moment, that micro decision then becomes the script. Goes, oh, well, I fucked up this, so just don't worry about it. It's just all gone to shit. I'm just going to go. And then a month, 6 months, 12 months later, you go, well, shit. And then we shame ourselves, the guilt, the grief, and we're living with the consequences of not following through on what we said we needed to do back then. And this is for that, if you're in that in-between place now where you know you were made for more, but you're still carrying the old strategies. This was the yarn that kind of just sat with me and I guess just really made me sit up and be with my own experience. And I put this through ChatGPT because I was like, okay, this is bigger and deeper than what I can comprehend. And because I'm documenting my own experience, because so that I can come back and see where I was, I can come back and listen to my own yarns and go, well, Shan, you were talking about this, but putting it down on paper and putting it side by side, have you followed through with your actions? And did you lead from your identity and your responsibilities and meeting yourself, or did you lead from how you were feeling and your excuses and your fear and your ego and your trauma? And like, this is a threshold. It's a sacred reckoning moment where I get to choose what comes next. And like under the surface, survival equals endurance, ownership and responsibility and conviction, and the warrior heart equals self-leadership. It's not about blame. It's about the power and the potential and the purpose returning back to our hands, back to our feet, back to our mouth. The things that we lead with, the hands that make our life, the feet that walk it, the mouth that says it. And it's about getting out of our head It's about getting back into our heart and our sacred knowing that we already know, but our brain takes us away from ourselves. And because survival says just get through today. Warrior heart says, who am I becoming through how I live today? And that's the balance of going, what I do in this moment is going to create tomorrow. How do I be present for what's needed for today? But I'm not just doing what I need to do today to get to the next day. It's like, no, what can I do now that's going to meet the need of today, but build tomorrow? Or when the opportunity comes, I'm ready, I'm resourced, I'm prepared. And it's about raising the baseline. It's about choice, not just our mood and not just coping. And it's the shift from reactive living to intentional becoming. And again, this isn't about shaming or blaming. Surviving and being resilient is a strength, but it needs to be a season, not a way of life. We have more opportunities than this. We have more responsibility than this, because life and living is more than existing. Being well is more than the absence of illness. Just because you're well doesn't mean you're healthy. Just because you're not sick doesn't mean you're healthy. And thriving should be our baseline. What do we want our children to experience? What do we want to leave behind in the world through our example, through the way we lived our life? Not just what we lived, but how we lived it, who we were in that life, who we were to that person, but who we were to ourselves. And freedom comes when we stop waiting to be rescued and start owning our choices, our patterns, our healing, and our becoming. And this is ancestral law. My ancestors, when they came into being, when they moved from the ancestral dream, when they moved from the dream time into this physical plane of humanity, and they landed on this land that we now call Australia, many people would have died because they would have died from experience. Like they would have eaten the wrong plant, and the mob that was around them would have gone, okay, we don't eat that plant. They would have remembered that. And for the oldest living culture in the world, fact and science and our dreaming, oldest living culture in the world, not surviving culture, living culture, continuous culture, continued through me and mine. But my ancestors survived and learnt those lessons so that I didn't have to, so that I could elevate to a deeper level of consciousness and experience. They had to survive being human so that the next generation and the mob around them could go, okay, I know how to survive now. Now I need to learn how to live. And those mob learned how to live, and then we learned how to thrive. And then colonization happened. And we went back into survival mode and learning how to survive. Well, we got 230 years of surviving and being resilient. Now it's time to raise the bar. It is time to elevate us back into our ancestral ways of being. We didn't just inherit trauma and colonization. We inherited ancestral memory and songlines. And it's time for many of us to wake up. The ancestors are calling us to wake up. We are needed to elevate in our own experience before we can elevate others. Because many of us are bleeding out while we're trying to serve. Many of us are burning out while we're serving. Many of us are giving from empty cups and depletion. And I mean, if you have to do what you have to do, that's fine. But I don't want to serve from an empty cup. I don't want to be tired all the time. I don't want to be broken all the time. I don't want to role model to my kids, and I don't want my kids in the energy of a mum that's in survival mode all the time. I don't want to be in my survival mode all the time. I want more than resilience. I want more than just getting by. I want wealth of time, of freedom, of joy, of passion, of purpose, of walking into a room, just being myself and not questioning how is the room going to receive me? How that person going to feel about me? I want to be me and go in like, no, I'm good in my own company. I bring safety with me. I bring country with me. I bring my ancestors with me. My ancestors already gave me all the authority and permission I need. The fact that I am still alive and breathing is all the authority and permission I need. It's time to level the fuck up, and I'm ready for that. Freedom comes when we stop waiting to be rescued and start owning our choices, our patterns, our healing, and our becoming. This is ancestral law. This is matriarchal law. And in many ways, adulthood isn't age. It's accountability to your own spirit. And it's no more outsourcing rescue, no more blaming the past, no more victimhood, entitlement, shutting down, numbing. We are braver than that. We are stronger than that, and we are ready. And it's no more shrinking when it's hard, not because the past didn't matter, but because our future matters more now. And it's not that now doesn't matter. And it's not that the past didn't happen. It's not that I didn't experience those things or that I want to make sense of how I became this person. But the more energy I give with going, well, how did I get here? How did I become that person? Like, the more energy and time we give, I'm not saying don't invest that time, but what I'm realizing right now with how precious my time is and how spread thin I am across my commitments, as I start to cut those threads, I tie up the old threads of what I am committed to and I release them to create space. And I start to clear my plate of all the things of going, well, I need to get this done in order for the next thing to become possible. Is that the more time and energy I give to, oh, who have I been? How did I get here? Trying to understand myself and my past, the less it takes away from who I am now and who I'm becoming. So I'm looking at the energy and the time I can commit to understanding how I became this first person versus just being this person and becoming the next person and that next self. Because right now I'm not in a season where I have the luxury of reflection. My time, my circumstances don't afford me that time. I don't have the capacity between being a single mum, being the sole person in my business right now, and with everything else that's going on. And my reality is that I don't have the resources to attribute that time. And time is money. It's when I'm committing time to that, it's time from my children, it's time from my healing, it's time from building the potential of the woman who I need to be in order to make the future possible. So as I'm sitting with this and being with what is, it's like, okay, I can commit 10% of my time every week to asking the questions of that existential question of who am I? How did I get here? All that stuff. And then the 90% of the time is about being this person and becoming the woman that I'm becoming and creating the future now that I want for tomorrow. Is taking the action and being the woman I need to be now for tomorrow to become possible. And when I started to look into this and started to look at going, well, it's powerful that I could survive and it's powerful that I'm so resilient. And when I started to track these things, it made me sit down and go, hold on, I can just breathe. I can be here. And I've got all these open tabs. What if I just close them all and just be here and now in this moment? And because this is no longer about self-help talk. This is no longer about manifesting millions and everything else, even though that's what's going to happen. It's about how do I weave the bridge from this version to the next version? Those micro identities, those micro steps, building from an identity, a soul, nervous system level perspective and practice, not a mental perspective, not a, I'm going to positive think my way there. I'm not going to stand in front of the mirror and think myself there. Like those things have a place, but now I'm going to a deeper level and practicing discipline as self-respect, not as punishment, and as devotion, and being able to sit there and say with all honesty that the version of discipline that got me to 3 world titles, that got me to multiple 6 figures in business, that got me to this person with this resume, this history, and this story, she's not going to be able to get me. That level of discipline is not going to get me to where I want to go next. And it's not about shame or blame. This is about breathing and accepting what is and developing a new practice of discipline and self-respect, raising my standards and my definition of what discipline, commitment, consistency, respect and protection and safety look like. The fact that I'm no longer outsourcing them to other people, I'm giving it to myself, I'm bringing it with me. And that I'm no longer making excuses and going, oh, but I shut down when I try this thing. How can I win 3 world titles, but I go to sit down at my desk and I shut down at doing a budget? It's about meeting myself in that and going, what is the smallest version of a budget or the next step that makes my nervous system feel uncomfortable but not unsafe, that I can sit there and get the thing done that's going to set me free. It's about meeting those edges, about meeting myself at those points where in the past I would shut down, numb, trigger myself and lean into discomfort, but meet the edge of discomfort, not to the point of being unsafe. Because when I put my nervous system into a position where it's like, fuck this is unsafe, I shut down and I can't stop that. So it's about being with myself and meeting myself with that matriarchal eldership and love. We're going, what do I need to do to make myself feel safe enough and brave enough to be able to be in this, be with my own emotions and my own experience, so I can start to shift and create change. Be the woman who is about her numbers. Be the woman who is her own version of a CEO, is her own version of systems and structure and strategy, rather than going, I've got ADHD, I'm neurodivergent, and all these other things that are very real for me. And the trauma and the life experiences that I've got, it's like, okay, those things have happened. And what do I need to do to meet myself here, to give myself the version of what I need to become the woman who is a multimillionaire, who can invest in the change that she wants to see in the world, not just do or be the change, who is sovereign and self-determined. I have time and location freedom. I can invest, I can live the lifestyle that I want and have the impact and the legacy that I want. Those sort of questions, and being with myself and going, well, you've said you're going to be about these things for a long time. Now it's, what does it look like to be about them and show up? So it's about building a new relationship, not from hustle, not from grind, not from self-violence. That's a big one for me, is recognizing and owning when I've been the perpetrator of my own violence and my own experience, and letting that sit as truth in my nervous system and going, yes, I hurt myself. Not most of the time, I would say, not consciously, but sometimes I was punishing myself for not being who I thought I should be or needed to be in order to get to where I wanted to get to, but also punishing myself and hurting myself for not being who I needed to be to keep those relationships, the dreams that I wanted, and going, well, why isn't this version of Chantel enough for that person to love me? Why doesn't that person want me in their life? Why isn't this version of Chantel enough to be loved and wanted by that person? Why isn't just me being me enough for that person to want me in their life and fighting for me to be in their life, versus me just saying, pick me, choose me, or me questioning myself and going, who do I need to be good enough to be allowed to be worthy of their time and effort, their friendship, their love, their relationship? And this has been a big one for me, because grieving and letting go, and instead choosing devotion and consistency, honoring my word to myself, and redefining and reshaping what these words as practices and principles and protocols governing decisions mean, that keep me safe, that keep me present, that allow me to choose this moment and my future. And that these aren't feelings. Discipline, self-respect, safety, they're not feelings, they're embodiment, they're practices. And raising the baseline means breaking cycles, in that the kind of ownership that raises my baseline, not my mood. Having the eldership, the fortitude, and being anti-fragile enough, having the grit of heart, the courage of heart to go deeper than just breaking cycles. And that survival manages my symptoms. Sovereignty changes the floor I stand on. It changes the nervous system. It changes the physiological generational cycles of what we'll inherit. It means that I don't keep returning to crisis and chaos. I don't numb and shut down every time I get triggered. I don't believe myself. I don't believe the thoughts in my head, and I don't allow them to drive my actions. Instead, I can meet those thoughts, I can meet my emotions, and I can choose a through line. I'm not normalizing exhaustion, and I don't keep renegotiating the deadlines, the timelines, the obligations that are due, the things that need to get done in order to be able to create progress, in order to be present. And it's rewiring and redefining and rewriting what normal looks like. For me, for my babies, for my culture, this is legacy work. And it's not necessarily about something new. This is going back to ancestral practices of going, well, what was the baseline? What was normal? What was our normal and what was our baseline as matriarchs, as Indigenous women before colonization? We had community around us. It wasn't just on one person to be about everyone else, but making sure that everyone else was also about that person. It wasn't just about being the one who was there for everyone, but nobody was there for her and not being there for herself. It wasn't about going, oh, I can serve from an empty cup, or I need to put my oxygen mask on first. These are all still serving from depletion. These are all serving from scarcity and survival. Instead, raising our baselines, allowing your life to be a mirror and going, well, would I want my daughter to be being this person? Would I want my child or the sister or the granddaughter or the person next who comes after me to have to go through this same experience, to have to carry the load in this way, to carry this level of responsibility? How do we shift how we carry that and be about it so it can be different for those who inherit what we leave behind? Because excuses don't save us. Ego doesn't save us, and avoidance doesn't save us. And there's fact, and then there's wishful thinking, there's excuses, and there's fear. The only thing that's going to shift it is presence, responsibility, and a willingness to stay in the fight and to learn the difference between being unsafe and uncomfortable, between being in pain and being at risk. Because pain is a part of life, but suffering is different. And only you will know the difference, and being with your own experience so that this becomes law for you. It becomes more than a mindset. It becomes embodied. It becomes proven. There's evidence through your life experience, through your energy, because survival can teach us how to endure. Our warrior heart can teach us how to lead ourselves, and how we lead ourselves becomes a ripple effect for how we lead others, how we lead our life, our love, our leadership, and our legacy. And freedom begins when we start to take responsibility for who we're becoming, even when it's uncomfortable. And I looked at how this serves the bigger purpose, the bigger calling around owning our shit, the teachings, the wisdom, the lessons. This being my life and choosing how I live, that trauma is not a narrative, that reclamation and remembering and rising is the narrative. And here where I am is the line. And being able to raise that line every single time so that when I leave this world, And when I enter each new chapter, the line has shifted. The line is a little bit further along. And what does it mean to move beyond coping and instead choose differently? And raising the baseline look like in my energy, my thoughts, my body, my money, my rest, my playtime, my relationships, not just my mindset, not just in my output and how much I get done in a day, but in how I get done what I do, the energy, how do my relationships reflect back at me? How do I wake up in the morning feeling before the world gets in? How am I in my own quiet moments? How am I when I go to sleep? And this is an initiation. This is where we meet ourselves. And this is the dreaming. This is law. This is responsibility. This is where I'm done with being tired and surviving and just getting through. And I'm honoring that survival is sacred work. And I'm at a level now where I'm ready, I'm willing, and I'm capable of receiving more and becoming more. And that this now is the training ground. This is the arena to go, I don't just want to survive the fight. I'm here to win the fight, to lead the war, to lead the charge. And not from a place of it's still unfolding in my experience, but I would prefer to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, knowing that I can be at inner peace. And when danger comes, I have all of the skills and everything I need to protect myself. I'm not reactive. I'm not training. Training isn't self-defense. I'm not training for when that person comes and attacks me. I'm training because I know I'm worthy. I'm training to be the woman I can be so that I can protect myself. Training and discipline and being proactive is self-protection. It's not self-defense. Self-defense comes after the fact. This is protection of knowing I can walk into any room in any situation and hold my own simply by being myself. And I'm not looking for the fight. I'm not looking for the argument. I'm not looking for the war. But know this, and anyone that listens to this or is on the path, we're already at war. My very existence is under attack. Being a woman, being a mother, being Indigenous. Other people feel like they have more say over who I get to be and how I get to live my life. The rates of domestic violence and family violence, the rates of racism, the fact that there are governments out here who think that they get to decide when a woman gets to have an abortion, like with what's happening in America, the situation with ISIS and people being removed. A white president on stolen land saying that other people are aliens. People are dying. Families are being ripped apart because a white man is on a power trip and having a tantrum. Women are being told that when they're unsafe, when a man is being violent to them, it is up to them and their children to move. Women and children are constantly, or people who are experiencing domestic violence, because it's not just women who experience it, but men too. But the reality is that when the person is the victim of domestic violence, the onus is on them to go and report it. The onus and responsibility is like they need to remove themselves from their life to go to a safe house, to hope that the police will protect them. Being Indigenous, we only have to look at what's happening in Australia and New Zealand, let alone the other parts of the world. Our very existence is war. Our very existence and our identity is under attack. So me being me and me doing the work and getting into the arena and getting into the gym, getting on country and training myself to be myself so that when those moments come and my very existence or identity is under attack, I have everything I need to hold the line. I'm fortified. I'm strong. I'm ready. I am the warrior I need to be to protect my heart. And it's no more waiting to be rescued. It's no more anyone else's responsibility. Yes, I experience things that are not my fault. Yes, I could walk out here and get hit by a car, and I could have said, oh, well, I could have chosen to cross the road differently or whatever. It's not always my fault what happens to me, but it becomes my responsibility what I do after that. And am I going to give up the rest of my life or whatever's left of my life because of something that happened here? Or do I step up, I accept what happens, and then I take responsibility for what I make that mean and how I let it shape me and define who I become and what comes next? Because if you're still here, survival has done its job. If you're still breathing, you have more choice and more power than you could ever understand. And we often underestimate and discount ourselves. We are underestimated and underrepresented in our own life experience, in our own mindset of who we are and what we're capable of, but also the level of responsibility that we need to take for the life that we are experiencing right now and who we are in that life. Because ancestors survived, ancestors were resilient, the elders fought. We have everything we need to survive. What does living and thriving look like? What do our children and our grandchildren deserve? And survival builds endurance, strength, and resilience. And it also chooses reacting instead of choosing, bracing instead of trusting, and managing pain instead of healing it. I'm done managing my pain. I'm done managing my triggers and my trauma and my dysfunction. I want to embrace all that I am, embrace my natural ways of being, and learn how to elevate them as strengths, as gifts, as opportunity, to take it to the next level, to unleash everything that I am, but learn to channel it, learn to let it flow rather than bleed out all over the world. Survival keeps us alive, but it doesn't teach us how to live on purpose. And at some point, the nervous system, we need to be able to create it to be calm enough to hear the deeper calling. Who am I becoming and being through the way that I live? And freedom is responsibility. Everyone wants freedom of speech, but no one wants to take responsibility for how that freedom of speech affects other people. We are not individuals living in isolation as Western systems would like or have us believe. Freedom comes with responsibility. Many people know their rights, but not many people know their responsibilities as individuals to contribute to the collective into which we live and who we are. So many of us are conditioned to wait for systems or partners or programs or someone stronger to fix things, or to just survive is enough. And yes, we do need support. Support is the operative word from those systems, those structures, those programs, those others. And we also can't wait for them. When those supports come in place, we need to be prepared and willing to elevate the impact of receiving that support to the next level so it changes the baseline. It changes us from barely existing and surviving today and enduring for tomorrow to the next level. If you're not living in war right now, you're probably living it, but you're not living the life you want. You're probably living at war with yourself. And sovereignty and freedom begins when we take responsibility, when we become accountable for our patterns, for breaking, interrupting cycles, and being able to respond rather than react, when we choose differently, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when even when it feels unsafe. And responsibility is not about blaming or shaming. It's about self-leadership. Adulthood really begins when we can take responsibility for our spirit, our choices, our footprint on this earth. Eldership really begins when we take responsibility for who we are and we own how who we are interacts with the world. We don't take responsibility for how others receive us. We take responsibility for who we're showing up as and showing up with integrity and alignment, and responsibility for what I bring to the room. And that's all we can do. That is all that is ours. How other people receive us is co-created. Because no one's coming to rescue us, and that is not abandonment. That is a return to our power. Let me find it, that Marianne Williamson quote. I think this is perfect. These are some of the words that help guide me. Marianne Williamson. Poems. Our deepest fears. Hold on, where are we? Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, or fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It is not just in some of us, it is in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people the same. We unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fears, our presence automatically liberates others. And this is where, put yourself in spaces where you can no longer hide, where you can no longer justify your own wounds, your own dysfunction, your own contribution. And if you're worried about what other people will think, if you are worried about how other people will receive you, are they walking with you? Do they give you the same care and respect? Where are your arenas? The man in the arena is another one that guides me. It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out the strong man's stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the person who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes up short again and again, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who at the best knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid stoles, who neither know victory nor defeat. There's plenty of people who buy the tickets to sit in the seats but never get on the field. There's plenty of people who watch sport and comment on how the athlete could have done better but have never tried themselves. So if you are choosing to stay in the position you are and where you are and who you are because you're afraid of how other people will receive you, ask yourself, are those people doing this for themselves? Are these people taking responsibility for who they are and how their energy and vibe affects you? Are they contributing to your life? Are they helping you in your life? If they're not, why are you outsourcing your life, your income to how someone else might feel about you? I don't want to put myself out there in business because people might laugh at me. Yeah, and the people who were the crazy ones who kept pushing through, Arlen Hamilton, Queen Latifah, Viola Davis, what's his name? Mark Zuckerberg, I don't know, Alex Hormozi. Like there's white fellas that push through, and then there's these powerful Kathy Freeman, Nova Paris. So many people that pushed through because they realized that who they were being is more important than how other people received or what they thought them as. Warrior of Light. And this is where we will fail on the journey. It's not that we won't fail, and it's not that we won't meet when we're trying to raise the baseline and shift from motivation to long-term transformation and embodiment. It's not that we won't fail. It's not that we won't meet those lessons and those edges and sometimes have to repeat the edges and the lessons. I think they say every time you try to change something, it can take up to 7 times of quitting something before you really see the gains. But every time you try, you change, you shift the line, you learn something a little bit more. It's not how many times you fall down. But many people chase good days, high moods, bursts of motivation. They're like, I'll do it when I feel like it, or I'll do it when I have X, Y, and Z, or I can't do it until this. But warrior hearts, people who are committed, we raising what we can tolerate. We learn how to sit in discomfort. We learn how to be with our feelings by moving from truth and responsibility and raising the standards of what we return to and raising what is our normal, what is our safety, what is protection. We raise our examples of what does rest look like, money patterns, relationship, how we speak to ourselves, how we show up, how we follow through. And this isn't just about you. This is about your children, your sisters, your brothers, those that you have to be in community and relationship with, those who will come after you. What are they going to inherit because of who you were? And no one is coming. People can walk with us, but they cannot do it for us. I mean, yeah, sure, if we get dehydrated and pass out, people can take us to the hospital and they can put a drip in us, but it's not going to stop us from becoming dehydrated again or depleted again or burning out again. It becomes a conscious choice when we repeat these patterns. And I want to share this with you. Every warrior of light has been afraid to enter a combat. Every warrior of light has betrayed and lied in the past. Every warrior of light has lost faith in the future. Every warrior of light has trodden a path which was not their own. Every warrior of light has suffered because of unimportant things. Every warrior of light has doubted that they were a warrior of light. Every warrior of light has failed in their spiritual obligations, in their responsibilities, in their relationships. Every warrior of light has said yes when they meant no. And every warrior of light has hurt someone that they loved. This is why you are a warrior of light, because you have endured all this without losing hope of improving, of trying better. And you know what? Those of us that are really ready to take responsibility and go, this is on me, and I'm also created, but also co-created, and I create. And this is choosing to leave behind survival mode. Because surviving, I need to honor the past without romanticizing it, but also without glorifying it, but also without weaponizing the past, without resilience, grit, adaptability, instinct. It allowed me to be here. Here is where I am. I cannot change the past. And no matter how much I interpret the past or weaponize, romanticize, glorify, justify, it's not going to change. This is where we are. It is what it is as it is. And it also becomes what I make it mean. And what I make it mean, the story I choose to walk forward with because of my past, not because of how other people perceive it, but because of how I choose to perceive it now, will carry through to how I show up in this next season. And survival is not a season. It's necessary as a season, but it's not sustainable as an identity, as shifting generational cycles. And this is the day that I clean the slate. This is the day that I meet myself here. And I don't go backwards. I might fall down, but I'm not going to stay down. I'm done numbing. I'm done performing. I'm done masking. And I'm done waiting to be rescued. I'm done expecting, asking, being entitled, waiting for other people to co-sign, waiting for other people to resource systems and partners and circumstances, and to change how I respond and waiting to be chosen, waiting to be committed to. And not as blame for what happened, but taking ownership for what comes next. I'm choosing me. I'm choosing this streaming. I'm choosing what comes next. If others choose to come, amazing. If other people benefit, amazing and deadly and powerful. But I'm also choosing to put myself in spaces that don't lie. where I can't hide, where sovereignty is chosen every day. It becomes a practice. Safety and responsibility, country, identity is who I am. It's not just a place I go. And survival is a season, not a destination. Rising beyond survival is not selfish. These are the words that I wrote that I want to give you before we leave. It's a responsibility to those who are coming after us. We cannot wish ease, freedom, or opportunity for the next generation if we're not willing to begin that path in our own bodies and our lives. What we do not heal, shift, and choose differently, they will inherit. What we do build, they will also inherit. Who we become, they will inherit. This is matriarchal leadership. This is eldership. This is Indigenous leadership. This is becoming the proof of a different way of living. This is embodying a different way of living, not just winging it. And once we have learned how to survive, and we are surviving, there comes a time to rise beyond it. Not only for ourselves, but for the generations coming after us. Life is meant to be more than being endured, bracing and just getting through. What we wish for the next generation, we must begin in our own bodies, our own choices, and our own lives. And we walk through the first part of that path so that they do not have to start where we did. I do not want my kids to have the same baseline, the same start line I did. They might have the same experiences, but I want them more resourced and ready to break through. And where I finish up, where I end, they will inherit and carry forward. Because survival taught me how to keep going. And sometimes that is the greatest achievement of all. That is all I could have done in that season. But there comes a time when I want it to be a lesson, not the foundation, an experience, a chapter, not the life story. And this is where I'm choosing to rise for myself first, and then as a ripple effect for those who will come after me, those who are in relationship with me now. And what I dream for the next generation must be lived by me now, where I begin the path in my own healing, my own choices, my own becoming, so that where I end, they get to start from being well. What doesn't repeat, what ends here becomes their norm. What becomes my thriving is their baseline. What becomes my, this was my life, oh my God, yes, becomes their, okay, and yet that's what I want. That's what my vision is for the world. Because sovereignty is what changes the lineage. It's what shifts the very physiological matriarchal timeline. It's what shifts the womb that carries the next generation. And what I want them to experience, safety, choice, sovereignty, self-determination, freedom and peace and thriving, wealth and joy as their norm, as their baseline, as protection, as responsibility, must begin in how we live now. We must break the ground first. We must go first. What we become, they inherit. And this is powerful. It is a bigger story. It is a deeper learning. Rather than look what we survived, look at what became possible when we choose to rise, when we choose to become. Look what becomes possible for the next generation when we become. And this is the training of what kind of mother, elder, entrepreneur, ancestor, woman I'm becoming. And this is where I choose discipline over avoidance, healing over hiding, presence over performance, responsibility over resentment, courage over victimhood, gratitude over entitlement. This becomes law. This becomes choice. This is the Warrior Heart Rising season. I hope this serves you and honors you in some way. Please share this and thank you for your time. If you are here, hit like and subscribe wherever you are. And if this has spoken to you, if this has called to you, only take what you need and leave the rest. Look after what you have, and it will look after you. What I ask of you in return, in reciprocity for this gift, this offering, as a gentle invitation to share this with someone that you believe would benefit, to hit like or subscribe, leave a comment, because this helps me elevate this message and experience into the world. It lets me know that it's reaching people. And for those ready to take the next step, come and join us in the Warrior Heart community, a free community where we are rising and we are awakening and activating. And if you really want to take it to the next level, let's walk together. Let's walk and weave this dreaming, this move from survival to sovereignty together. Send me an email, send me a message on any of my social media platforms, Warrior Heart, and I'll reach out to you with next steps. Big love you, mob. I hope this honors you. I hope this serves you, and I hope this meets you. This is Chantel Thompson in the Warrior Heart Rising season, and this is our Warrior Hearts.